Hello, hello, and welcome to Saturday Soundbites. I'm your host, Veronica V. Sofer. Thrilled to be here with you again this week as we get to talk about visibility strategy, marketing, public relations, advertising, communications, all the things you need to have a successful business, grow your team, and really make sure that your message is getting out there. So, thank you so much for joining us on Saturday Soundbites. If you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of the show. If you are watching on YouTube or Facebook, drop us some comments, and my guest and I will be sure to circle back with you. So we'll go ahead and get this episode started. I have a great guest joining me today. I have Miss Champaigne Graves with Fractional CMO. She is so excited to talk to you about what it is that she does, and I appreciate so much that you joined us today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Veronica. I'm really excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about, I know we're going to talk about marketing and how to build a great team and synergy, but tell us a little bit about your experience and what got you to a point to where you can talk about how important it is to build a team and really have that synergy moving.
Yeah, so really what I lean on is my personal experience as an entrepreneur myself and having to bootstrap a few businesses and be a solopreneur in a few of those businesses. So, really doing the work myself has helped me to create marketing teams that can go out and do the work for me. And so I'm really super passionate about helping people, especially people that are transitioning out of being the only person doing the marketing in their business. I'm really passionate about helping them to create a marketing team that they feel confident in going out there and making them visible, getting more leads for their business, as well as general awareness about how they're trying to change the world.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You all my keywords, all the things that are important. So tell us a little bit about the secret sauce behind building a team, especially a marketing team. I know that it requires people to have different skill sets, but there's also something about, the leadership component to inspire people to do that work. How do you keep them focused on that shared marketing vision?
Yeah, so I think in order to build a great marketing team, you have to know yourself as a CEO and you have to understand your favorite parts of your business. So, going right back to that foundational why is going to be super important. Why are you doing what you're doing? And at your peak, with the most help that you can have, what is going to be your role then? And
Mhm.
how are you going to be delegating in the best possible way to make sure that your marketing goals are being met?
Mhm, mhm, and that's so important. And how would you suggest to someone, whether they're an entrepreneur or they are transitioning maybe from a corporate job or maybe they're in the nonprofit space, how would you suggest to someone to get started on those shared marketing goals? Because I think, um, oftentimes people get a little overwhelmed by the possibility of joining a new team or bringing somebody on when those shared goals aren't really evident to them yet.
Yeah, so honestly, when it comes to that, you as a CEO, if you are the person that is mapping out your marketing strategy, then you need to be the person that is going to take that leadership role. And so you need to first work on your confidence in being able to delegate. And then you need to understand how you want these people to show up in your business, and also more than anything, how are they working in their genius zone and how are you bringing that out in those people? So if you're just getting started, I would write down kind of a wish list of what you want. If
Mhm.
there is anything that you have been doing yourself with your marketing that you wish that, oh, if I had more money, oh, if I had a team behind me, then I would be able to reach XYZ goal, then that's kind of where you start out, making sure that you kind of backtrack and figure out what are my wish lists and what do I want to see my marketing do for me, and how can I bring along that help, bring along that funding to meet those goals.
No, that makes complete sense. Tell me a little bit about how you share that data, because I think you said some really important things about shared goals, shared vision. How do you share, especially if you're used to doing it yourself? How do you share that data with other people so that they can maybe track or evaluate or determine whether or not the marketing is being successful?
Yeah. So I think what's really important is kind of doing it old fashioned and just writing down everything that you're doing and being able to be a great teacher and trainer on letting people know this is my process. This is my standard operating procedure when I'm going through and doing the XYZ marketing tactic, and this is how I measure the success of that. Here's what you do to measure the success of that as well. And then you, as a leader, you understand what a successful campaign looks like. So, therefore, you'll always be in a position to be able to check out the analytics and things like that. So, I don't think that you need tons of fancy software in order to check out analytics. I think really where that comes from is just tracking what you're doing manually and making sure that you give a really great explanation of where what you want this campaign to do so that you are communicating that well to your marketing team.
Mhm. Right. No, I agree. And I think that's so important because you can invest a lot of money in platforms and in technology, but at the end of the day, it really boils down to those elements that you talked about. And sometimes you can do it really simply, with some shared documents and shared communications, and very simply. So I think that's very valid. Champagne, let me ask you this: when it comes to really identifying opportunities in the marketing for a marketing team, how do you suggest teams work together, especially if they're remote? I mean, a lot of people in the space might be living in other time zones. How do you recommend they get together to collaborate?
Well, one of my favorite tools to use with remote teams is Slack. Slack is an amazing tool that helps teams work asynchronously. And I think that that is really important to have some kind of instant messaging tool available for remote teams. And then honestly, I think that always making sure that there is some time in the month where the team can all meet. I understand it's really hard when other people are in other time zones, but we need to think about these things when we're building our team because there's no way to get around having team meetings. Those are super important to have those kind of touch points with your team members in order to make sure that those common goals are being met.
No, I think that's some really great advice. And when you are onboarding a new team member, especially in focused on communications and marketing, and maybe even looking at advertising dollars, how do you bring them? How do you onboard them? How do you get them into the fold?
Yeah, so I think what's really important in the work starts when you're creating that delegation list.
Hmm.
So, kind of going back to the foundation of why you even need to hire someone to do
Hmm.
this work, right? Like, why are you not doing it yourself? Either you're not passionate about it, you don't have the time for it, or that's just simply not your genius zone. And
Hmm.
so you need to figure out what's going on with that. And then if it's not your genius zone, then you need to make sure that you're hiring someone that is going to be working in that genius zone. And then if that is not available, then you need to be able to make a really great training manual
Hmm.
so that
Hmm.
that person can be flourishing.
Yeah, and I think, you said previously standard operating procedures, and then you just mentioned, training manuals. How does someone start that process? Because someone might be listening right now who's thinking, "Yes, I need to onboard a team member. Yes, I need to grow these are all ways my business is going to pick up, or the projects I'm working on are going to continue to blossom. How do you share that training and share those expectations? What's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that is having a really great training and onboarding system. Now, either this is going to be something that you as a CEO are going to handle, or this is going to be, again, something that you delegate out to somebody else
Mhm.
and make sure that they are operating in their genius zone to do so. But more than anything, as a CEO, you need to figure out what is the culture that you're trying to create. You need to actually make sure that you can be able to like working with your team, like working with the people that are coming on board and helping to get the word out about your business. And then you yourself need to figure out, what are you going to be able to keep up with? Like, just like I said earlier, not everyone needs the fancy software and things like that. But what are we going to be able to keep up with? If it
Mhm.
is the fancy software that works for you, amazing. If not, then what are the manual or more simpler things that you're going to have in place? Either way, it has to work for both you and the people that you're bringing onto your team.
Absolutely. I think that's key. And I love that you keep encouraging people to delegate, because sometimes we get really overwhelmed with all the management components of keeping a team together. What are a couple of pieces of advice that you have for keeping a marketing team inspired? I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you keep people fired up, excited, and keep the energy flowing.
Yeah, so the best way to keep a marketing team inspired is offering a platform for ideation and brainstorming. Giving everyone space to let their ideas be known is going to be super important, because everyone wants to feel like they are offering something that's helping to move the ball forward. Um,
Hmm.
you as the CEO don't need to be the only person coming up with the ideas. Again, one of the things that we're looking for when we're hiring people on our team are people that are going to be working in their genius zones. So we want these ideas. We want to hear what these people have to say. And so I believe that that's a really great way to keep them inspired, by just offering them a platform to say what they have to say. And also, another thing that I've seen do really well is mentorship. If
Hmm.
you as a CEO have something to give to your marketing team that they couldn't get from someone else, then you need to be sharing that with them, because more than anything, you need to always be worrying about the upward movement and progression of whoever is coming into your business, because that's not only going to help them, that's going to help you as well.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Champagne, how can people learn more about you, and tell us a little bit about some of the projects you're working on before we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about me, I say go into my LinkedIn, because I'm a pretty mixed bag. I got my hands in a lot of different things. I'm sure you understand that, Veronica. But I am at LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn at Champagne Graves. And I can also be found on my website, champagnegraves.com. And I am always open and available to have free coffee chats, collaboration calls, and then discovery calls, so that if I can be a person that can help you meet your marketing goals, I am absolutely available to be an open ear to you.
I love it. Thank you so much. And what great value you bring. We will make sure, Champagne, that your LinkedIn contact information is in the show notes, and all your other information. One last parting piece of advice: if there was one thing you just want to make sure that our guests learn about marketing and how to put a good team together, what piece of advice would you give them?
Know your why. Know why you got
Mm.
into the game, and always make sure that is a part of your marketing and messaging.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Champagne, it has been so great talking to you. I appreciate you joining us on Saturday Sound Bites.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, guys, make sure you connect with her understanding your why, being connected to your why, and making sure that all your marketing is really going to help you be successful. So check out Champagne's information. Her website and all her contact information is there on the link in the show notes. I want you to share this episode with anyone that you think would benefit from learning about the importance of putting a marketing team together. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, drop us some comments, and Champagne and I will go back and answer any questions you might have. Let us know if you're catching the replay, just hashtag replay. And if you are listening on the podcast, make sure you hit subscribe. We don't want you to miss any episodes of Saturday Soundbites. With that, I am wrapping up this episode by sending you lots of positive energy and light.